Wow.
I don't have trouble around you.
After today, you will.
I just.
Is it recording?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't hear it. Welcome, everyone, to the Monday, December 15th, 2025 meeting of the Village of Lansing Board of Trustees. My first order of business is to take a call roll. Susan Ainsley,
Present.
Carolyn Greenwald,
Here.
Patrick Gillespie. Here. Kathleen Yin. Here. And Ronnie Hardwick's here. We have quorum. And obviously, Carolyn is joining us via Zoom tonight. Next part of our meeting is our public comment period. This is for anyone who's in the room and online who would like to speak to any topic that is not already on our agenda. And I don't see anyone online. Oh, someone.
Hold on.
Is-
Lisa's coming.
Okay, okay.
Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. So, hearing none, seeing none, I will move that we close our public comment period.
Oh my gosh. Am I late?
Yeah. Hi, Lisa.
Why do you have a public comment?
Lisa, do you have a public comment?
No, I didn't realize that I was late. I thought I said time.
2 minutes.
Not
I just said,
terribly.
oh my gosh, am I late?
Start on time.
Yeah. You can stay late so you can make up, okay?
All right.
Okay. All right, it's been moved and seconded to close. Pat seconded. It's moved and seconded. All those in favor of closing the public comment period, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next order of business is to approve our minutes from December 1st, 2025. I will move those minutes. Susan seconds. Are there any comments or concerns about the minutes, draft minutes,
Just as corrected.
beyond the ones that were submitted early before the meeting? Hearing none. Excuse me. All those in favor of approving the December 1st, 2025 draft minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. And the next order of business is to discuss the formation of the Commercial Area Advisory Committee. And I know I sent out, and Jody has printed some of my findings for this. It's not really a resolution, but it's just a proposal for the structure of the committee. Is there anyone else who wants to offer comments?
Noticed Pat did.
Yeah, the only question I had was whether any of these positions would be ex officio.
That's kind of up to us to decide. It's nothing to decide. It might be too early until we get started into it, and then we decide about ex officio. I would suspect that probably, but
Be determined.
yeah, to be determined. It's still early days. Got to kind of get it set up and start it rolling and see what we need within the structure.
My only question would be to ask Natalie, I had inserted an additional paragraph about things that might be part of what they want to consider. They don't have to consider it, but that wasn't in the draft that you saw previously. So I just wanted to alert you to that additional paragraph and see if you had any concern about it.
No, I didn't have any additional comments other than what I had provided from the last. I thought all the additions were good and Ronnie's suggestions were good.
Okay, good. And then I had added everything that Natalie had given us after the last meeting to what
Right.
you guys were looking at for today.
And quite frankly, as I said, it's early days, and as we get into it, there might have to be some changes made to the overall direction with the goals, any bylaws that we might have to come up with. I don't know if we need to for this type of a committee, but That's all down the road. The basic thrust of this is to get something started to try to build the commercial area advisory committee. And so we would have to, I guess, pass a resolution forming this committee. So we could, do we want to do that tonight? Is it early enough? Do we have enough information to go forward to at least start the process?
I just had one comment question. For the initial inaugural group, it sounds like that's more of an ad hoc to develop a vision statement and recommend a direction. So would that be a one-year term as opposed to the two-year term, or to be determined?
I didn't envision any difference in term based on the fact that the inaugural group's first task would be to create the vision statement.
So would it be a 1 year or 2 year like the regular membership?
I just assumed the committee would be, I kind of envision us doing a form similar to that we've done recently, asking for villager participation, and it would be a questionnaire that they would fill out, both residents and businesses, and then we would kind of go through those candidates and invite people to join the committee, and those people would serve according to what we've created. So the vision statement would be the first creation of the committee that we formed. So the normal term limits I envisioned would apply. I'm open to everyone's ideas about this.
Sometimes when you're forming, I'm sorry, Lisa, you go ahead and I'll talk after you.
I was wondering about well, first of all, as I was totaling up the number, so it looks like a fairly large group, depending when you say 3 to 5 members. So, I mean, it could be as many as, what is it, 12 to 13 or something, which I think is a little unwieldy. But how do you, when you say, sending out something to people, would this be to every resident, household, and every business? How would you do the recruitment, I guess, is one of my questions.
We
And
can
then-
talk about that. I envision an application form that we could send to specific businesses and generally to residents. So we could put it in the newsletter. We could wait until, we could form the committee, but not staff the committee until we have a chance to reach out to, I think, all of the residents. But with businesses, either if they're on our mailing list, then they'll get a chance to apply, or we can ask targeted businesses as well.
Right. I was going to say, because I think there's some that might be, I don't know how subjective that would be or whatever. Okay. But as to the number of members, I mean, that's a lot of people if you really filled it. And that gets hard to going in one direction, I think, sometimes, or getting consensus maybe, but I'm just thinking, but you'll find that might be self-solving as you go along. Okay.
And what I was going to say is perhaps for this first, as this committee is beginning, maybe the first term should be a 2-year. And that gives the members some extended time up front to try to come up with the structure and the goals and so forth, and then actually start working toward those at the end. That's just a suggestion. Where, and everything after that would be an annual, because you wouldn't have to, it wouldn't require a lot of the administrative work that's required for the beginning of the committee.
So that would change from what Carolyn currently has set up. She has renewable 2-year terms for
Okay.
resident and business members. So just a
Okay, so 2 years. Yeah, I was thinking it was 1 year for some reason, stuck in
1
my
year
head.
for the Board of Trustee and Planning Board members, and then 2 years for the residents and business.
I see, okay. That's a little
The
more.
reason I did that only is because sometimes the election cycle is different for different trustees. And so I thought that would just make it easier for us, but I can do it however you want.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We'll leave it as is.
I mean, if it's not 2 years and you only meet annually, they meet once. I mean,
We'll see, Lisa. I don't know. Hopefully they'll
I
meet
think
more
annually,
often.
when the first pass, when you brought it up last time, I thought, for me, I would lose track of an ant just annually. I honestly need something more consistent. Monthly, quarterly, like the first something of every whatever. I just would look at that. And maybe when you send out your application, it could be kind of, maybe we need to do do you have any contacts that you
Well, I
could,
could just switch the order of how I phrase that. So it says
of
meetings will be
course.
held at least annually, ideally quarterly, if not monthly. So I can change that to, well, ideally monthly, minimum quarterly, or, and then if it's annually, then maybe it's going away or something like that. So we could just kind of
Yeah.
change the phraseology there. The
Okay.
anticipation is that I agree with you. A working committee is meeting monthly.
Yeah,
I mean, I
or it's
totally
just,
agree.
yeah, it's just hard to keep track of, and then people forget. And I don't know. It's all about making the commitment, which you'll get into as you go along. So I think I hope it works. Let's
I
put it
mean,
that way.
it's another approach, and the
It's
worst thing that happens
needed.
is that it doesn't yield results, but the best thing that happens is that it does yield real results, and we can only know if we try. So,
Well, I even think if you keep asking if businesses if they would be interested, then they know that we are interested in
right.
doing something, and maybe somebody out of that will, if we keep hounding on it a little bit, they'll say, you know what, I'd like to talk to you. Even if this doesn't come together, they might step up and say, I'd like to talk to you about it, sort of thing. So
Yeah.
it's absolutely worth trying, I think.
When would we like this committee to start?
The question is, do we form it and then I want to give us time to really collect a good group. I don't want to like form it and then staff it. I want I want to wait till the spring newsletter goes out because then we can really get people to fill out our application. So do we form it now and then fill it slowly, or do we form it right before we fill it? I don't know the answer to that in terms of how committees are usually
We could
done.
go either way, really. I mean, it would be helpful to form it now and maybe informally get the word out and then formally get the word out in the spring and take active applications.
Okay.
Might get some input from businesses and suggestions about who and so forth.
Okay.
So we could have it start at the beginning of the year and then formally roll out invitations and applications around the spring newsletter, April.
My suggestion is that you would form it now, that you get your application and everything together, get people in, and at our organizational meeting is when you appoint all the committees, that's when you start it.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. The appointments would be at the organizational meeting.
And I think that probably, since it's a new committee, you're not going to have it fully staffed, so we will probably have to appoint people as they become interested. We'll have to decide at that point, do we want to have all of the terms end at the same time or roll it? And I think that the rolling it would be problematic. So we'll just say that it might be a shorter term when someone first comes on board because they came in late during the actual first or second or whatever term.
It'll be good to keep it with organizational meeting.
Right. Yeah.
That way nothing gets messed up or forgotten.
Yeah.
Carolyn, do you have a group of people that you're going to reach out to initially?
Well, I want to reach out to the villagers, and then for businesses, I want to create, a Google form for them to apply. So I know that Mike and Jody have also already, both of them have mentioned the committee to different businesses that they've interacted with during the village and gotten a positive feedback. And like I mentioned last time, I spoke to the Chamber of Commerce, and they had some members that they thought would be good fits. So I was going to start with that.
Yeah.
Here's a question, Jody, you might be able to answer it. With the members of this committee, will they be required to take our required training every
Yep.
fall? Because it's an advisory
Everybody
committee.
is.
So that's something that we would probably want to let people know up front. They would need to be doing this every fall. for sexual harassment prevention training and the other safety trainings that we receive.
I'll put that in the form, what the expectations are.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, then I will,
Kathleen has a comment.
sorry?
Kathleen.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kathleen.
Oh, that's okay. So I mean, I think what's here is good. We talked about the second paragraph, just inserting as a friendly structure for the inaugural group. And the last paragraph, a minimum of.
What are you adding to the second paragraph?
Second paragraph, the inaugural, third line, the inaugural will be tasked with creating a vision statement for the committee with the goals of blah, blah, blah. But we also talked about creating that structure for the committee.
I don't understand what you want added.
How the committee will operate, basically, the structure of it, kind of like a charter.
So that's the vision statement.
Just structure as a task, as a responsibility for the inaugural committee. What are your thoughts, Carolyn?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're trying to add. The word friendly you want where?
Evaluate all right, the inaugural CAC will be tasked with creating a vision statement for the committee with the goals of, I would insert, in addition to a vision statement, the committee structure.
Oh,
I think we're creating the committee structure in the following in the paragraph after that. Right? Doesn't the next paragraph create this structure?
Well, it depends how you want decisions made and, quorum and all of that.
She's talking about
Like,
how the committee works. I think, go ahead, Carolyn.
Do we, for example, for the Greenway Committee, have like definitions of anything besides that there's members and a chair?
I haven't seen anything for Greenway. Task Force has a charter, but I haven't seen anything for Greenway.
I haven't seen it either.
But most advisory committees do have a kind of like a bylaws, an organizational structure for how decisions are made. And
Well, they're
that
not
sort of
going to
thing.
really be making any decisions. They're just making recommendations about different
Sure.
things.
Like
Decisions
Village.
about
Makes the
recommendations,
decisions.
right, right. Only the board of trustees can make the decisions, but the advisory group, and it does state it's an advisory group, makes recommendations, so how do they come to those decisions, that's all. How are they set up? Does there have to be a quorum
well,
for meeting?
the planning board is an advisory committee. Maybe there's some structure language you could look at there. I mean,
That's,
if that's what you're
That's-
talking about. I don't,
no, that's part of the code.
I mean,
I don't know. Do we have
So
any
I
other?
see what you're saying. You want them to be tasked with creating a vision statement and, if necessary, a meeting structure, meeting
government,
procedure structure.
Yeah.
So do you want to
Yes.
just add that, and if necessary, meeting procedure structure?
I think that would
I
be-
understand sometimes committees need to be very specific, and then sometimes they don't. So we don't know.
And I think these are the types of questions that would be answered in the time period between the first of the year and by the time that we start making the applications available. Do we want a simple set of bylaws that says how the meeting will be structured and who will be facilitating the meeting, quorum, et cetera. I mean, that could be part of the work before actually receiving members into the committee, external members into the committee. And if not, then you could use the first meeting or two of the committee to write those bylaws or change them, as long as they didn't conflict with what the Board of Trustees would expect from the committee.
I think it's just a matter of functionality. Like, if you don't need formal Robert's rules or what have you, and you can operate happily, then you don't need it. But maybe if the committee chairperson determines that things need more structure, then they could go ahead and do that. Or come to us and ask us for that. But it's not necessarily necessary. The problem is, we don't know. My hunch is that it's not necessary, but it could turn out to be in the future, in which case we could make a change.
Well, the types of things you would need to document and notify is that there would be an agenda submitted to the committee members X number of days before the meeting so that they would know what topics were being discussed. And if they wanted to submit anything for the agenda, that it had to be submitted by such and such date. And that the head of the committee, the chair of the committee, would basically facilitate the meeting from that agenda, that type of thing. And that's fairly informal. And I mean, it's just normal operating procedure, but people need to know when to expect an agenda, when the meeting would be held, that they're going to have notification in a certain number of days before the meetings are held, whether they're scheduled or an impromptu meeting. But I don't think we need that to start the committee. I do think it needs to be done before the committee starts meeting with external members.
So maybe that's something that can be worked on and also adopted at the organizational meeting, if you have preliminary bylaws or guidance for the committee.
That's true. Yes. The organizational meeting would be a good time to have that. It would give us 3 or 4 months to work on it.
I think it's, I think it's a great idea, and I think we should definitely, I would be in favor of supporting the formation of the committee with the details worked out prior to the organizational meeting.
This is not your normal committee within our village government. It's a new one. It's a new hybrid. So we're going to have to work things out. So I think that we start the process and we discover what we need and make sure that we tie as much details as we can. We formalize as many details as we can before the first meeting and work on that. And I think that once it starts, everything that was created early might have to be adapted or adopted into something else. So, and that all would be fine. The one question that might need to be answered for this committee is if they make substantial changes to any of the formal documentation about the committee, it would need the approval of the Board of Trustees, which is probably just, a matter of fact that we just have to approve that it's not going to conflict with the Board of Trustees' ultimate decisions from the advice given by the committee.
Well, that would just be their advice. They would advise
Yes.
the Board of Trustees to change their bylaws in X or Y way, and then we could or could not, or
Yes.
that Board of Trustees could or could not.
Okay. But Kathleen's comments were valid, and it's something I think we need to do. We don't have to finish it and fine tune it tonight, but we will have to get started on it before and have it completed. The basics of the basic structure of the committee and how they meet completed before we start taking applications.
Is this what you plan to send to, like an email to get people to apply?
No, I was thinking more of we would create a new form.
I think it would extract information from this to inform them, but not this necessarily.
No, I thought that's what this was.
It could
Not
be,
an actual-
I mean, but I think it probably should be a lot shorter. And then this would be a reference document potentially for the form. It would be, I guess, become part of the document, the historical documentation of the resolution and formation of the committee.
And it has, I mean, it's gotten shorter and clearer.
Yeah, it is.
And more concise
Yeah,
over all the.
I can think it depends upon the audience
Mhm.
that we want to reach. So it can be used for that, but I don't think that it's necessarily the document that we send out.
No,
It can be,
might-
but it doesn't have to.
It might overwhelm anyone.
It might. And you don't want to do that for people who were first interested. I mean, ultimately, they will need to know everything, but for the first contact, to get people who are interested, they can always decide that once they submit their application and it's been considered that they don't want to join because it's not meeting their personal goals or professional goals, so anyway. Then I will move a resolution that we form the Village of Lansing will form the Commercial Area Advisory Committee that will start its preliminary work after the first of the year with the goal of having the first applications submitted and evaluated around the time of our organizational meeting.
Can-
Kathleen seconds. Is there any other comment or discussion about the committee? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay.
Okay, so are we gonna start this at the beginning of the year when you're not even sending out the newsletter to ask for people until April?
We're going to start with answering some of the questions about the logistics of the meetings and how often we hope that they will meet, the number, how there will be an agenda X number of days before the meeting, and that people would need to submit topics for the agenda before that date to be discussed, very similar to what our meetings have, or we have to submit agendas, but less formal. It doesn't have to be within the newspaper or anything, but to the committee members.
Does this make sense to you, Natalie?
Wasn't that what you also suggested, is to form it now and then appoint
Format.
people at,
And get applicants?
yeah. Isn't that what?
And the,
Well,
But the board will work on the governance documents prior to the organizational meeting?
Yeah, I don't see why we couldn't. We could even approve them before the organizational committee, the organizational meeting. But I think that when you start requesting applications and reviewing the applications, the people who applied need to know what they're signing up for. So that's the type of information they would need to decide if they could attend the meetings and wanted to, would have to be available before the applications are made available. And that's what.
So we're planning on basically doing the bylaws and deciding what the path is gonna be, and then they're gonna give input to that path.
The beginning of it won't be the bylaws as much as,
Because they're not gonna, the committee's not gonna know how to form up.
no.
That's why I'm thinking we should do it instead.
We can do
Yeah.
basics, but it's very likely going to morph into something different by the time that they start meeting, and that's fine, that's what they should do. But
I mean, I think it's gonna be pretty standard, agendas circulated X number of days before meeting, meeting notices have to be sent out X number of days before meeting.
Yeah.
And
It's
just
gonna be
kind of,
just like our meeting procedures.
yeah, exactly. We're not gonna recreate the wheel.
right, and Carolyn, I think, has already started that, as well as drafting the application, et
Okay.
cetera. So it's just a question of just providing additional feedback for what's
Yeah.
to that basic
So
framework.
then, does it need to be subject to the open meetings law?
Yes,
So we're
It says
adding,
that in there.
It's in there.
Meetings shall be public and recorded. and
Okay,
that's what
right.
available.
so that means it's an extra task on Jody's list of responsibilities?
No,
not necessarily. It could be someone within the committee that's the secretary,
Okay,
could do that. we could ask that committee have a secretary
Good.
to capture the minutes and
Just like
distribute
you
the
did with
minutes.
Greenway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
CAC.
okay.
Same thing.
no, I was not volunteering Jody for.
I just wanted to make sure we were all clear.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the initial documentation beyond preceding the bylaws and goals and so forth.
Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you, Carolyn, for bringing this up, and thanks everyone for their input. Okay, the next topics, potential topics for our joint meeting on January 12th with the planning board, which will be at 7 p.m. Remind me, 7 p.m., not 7:30.
Right, you'll be late if you show up at 7:30.
Yeah, you have to. Any topics? Well, Carolyn, obviously, comprehensive plan updates for the planning board, Greenway committee updates, anything else that we need to talk with I guess maybe even this committee being formed might be a good idea as a topic, and getting some ideas from the planning board at that point.
Sure,
Anything
that
else?
sounds great.
Anything else? I haven't heard from Mike Baker yet.
Well,
I'm not sure.
I think there's a long list.
in our meeting, he said he was gonna email them to you the next day.
I didn't receive it. No. Well, there's plenty of time. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Can anyone think of anything else we need to talk about?
Think about it.
Yeah, we're going to have a meeting on January 5th, so if you come up with topics, we can discuss it then too.
So the code update, obviously.
Yeah, that's-
The definitions,
Yeah.
which they're going through.
I'm sure that's going to be part of their side of
Yeah.
the topics, of the discussions.
And then,
He had quite a few
I don't know.
already.
Mhm.
I don't know if there'll be anything on the energy review and update, energy best. I looked through the list of topics we had at the last joint meeting,
Yeah, okay.
that list, just to go
So
through.
there's substantial changes in the process down the line.
Bess is not on the radar right now.
The battery energy storage. But they sent out an email that they're going to have courses, a webinar about battery energy storage systems. But I think it's just start the discussions about what will be forthcoming in the code. I don't think it's anything solidified, so.
And then I know that this is separate, but the county handles the short-term rentals, and if that link is available, we
Yeah, that's a good
maybe
topic.
put that on the,
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear, someone had requested from the county how they are going to track this
Yeah.
information, what system they're using, and how can we ask for local information from that system. And I don't think that's been answered yet. I think they're working that out. And once they do, maybe it will be done by the time we have our meeting, and we can bring that up.
I registered my house.
So that's another good topic. Anything else?
I think I was wondering if we should, now these are not high priority, but if time allows, towards the end, asking the planning board how they feel that our laws are working, specifically our sidewalk law and our tree law. The sidewalk law, because of what John Courtney brought up about
Sure.
shoveling,
Yep.
and the tree law, just because I do think that sometimes there were unintended consequences with that, and does that need to be changed at a legislative level or code level? But I don't know that they're the highest priority topics, but if we have time to ask the planning board how they feel about what's happening with those two.
yeah, I'd be curious if there are, if any feedback from both planning board and BZA for any kind of red flags that we're getting a lot of requests for A, B, or C, or we're having some issues. What triggered the initial tree law review, but also any other parts of the permitting
And then
process or variance
similarly-
process.
Similarly, in terms of functionality of code, this, because you brought up the BZA, Kathleen, the sign laws, because as you know, I've mentioned before, it always strikes me that the people who go for the BZA for the sign variances are, you know, the biggest corporations with their national chains and say that, you know, we're required to do this, that, and the other thing. And then we wind up compromising somewhere in between. And I always think that's slightly unfair to the local businesses that don't have the pressure from the national chains, and then they just comply with our laws. So just kind of getting, especially if we're going to have the BZA there, a feel for them on how the sign laws are working in terms of fairness to everybody in the village.
Are the BZA coming to that meeting?
No,
No.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
sorry. When
I was gonna say,
thought
I
they
didn't-
were after you said
But
that.
to answer that, I think, actually, the sign thing hasn't been a real issue. You know, Ross came to us, they had signs plastered all over, and we said, we have two options. You can go with the sign law, put one sign up front, or you can go for a variance, and they just fell in line and went according to the sign law. It
That's
hasn't been
really
as,
good to hear.
but in terms of the other stuff, yeah, bring it up because I don't want to speak, but what was the issue that you mentioned about John Courtney and the sidewalk law?
Oh, because you know, as a municipality, we actually clear sidewalks, which is very
Right.
rare. And when the planning board requires like a new development to put in sidewalks, which as they should, if there's no connecting sidewalks, it makes it difficult for John to then get up there because he's going around clearing everything. But then if there's a standalone development, then the sidewalk clearing becomes more of an issue for his crew, and that's what's happened at
Okay.
East Point. So just being aware of that issue and coming, I want them to build the sidewalks, but maybe then it's also, they know that there's no winter maintenance kind of thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, I don't think that was clear to us because, yes, that would be a good thing to bring up, please, because that came up at the last meeting. Who's maintaining that? But that must be why you said this. And, but as we have also discussed, when somebody says, oh, well, that's a sidewalk to nowhere, that has come up at one of our meetings, you know, if you don't build a sidewalk to nowhere, you'll have no sidewalks to anywhere. And
No, I
believe,
agree.
that's a
and so,
possibility.
and that was from somebody whose opinion I respect greatly on that. And I believe that myself. And I think, you know, as we go along, we have to look to the future. So again, I think we're back to one of my main concerns, but that's something we can talk about at the meeting about how we handle these new laws that we do want, we think are beneficial to the village, how we're going to maintenance. It's my big deal is maintenance. And so we'll just have a good conversation, hopefully, on that.
Are there any other topics for tonight? Obviously, if you have a 3 a.m. idea and send us an email at about 8 o'clock in the morning, I'll read it and we can get it added on too. And like I said, we have another meeting in January 5th, so let's put the same topic on that agenda, Jody, just to make sure that we haven't come up with any new ideas and get them fleshed out before we go to our joint meeting. And when I get the email from Mike, I will forward on to everyone so you kind of know which direction you're going with that joint meeting. Okay, moving on. General discussion, we'll go around the table. Kathleen?
Does somebody else want to go first?
I can do,
Go ahead.
real quickly.
Go ahead, Susan.
Fulton Point, they're celebrating their 50th anniversary, July 15th, 2026. So I'm on the committees, and the employees are very enthusiastic about sharing the story of Fulton Point. So that's happening.
We'll have to be sure and invite all of our board members
Absolutely.
and staff to that.
And the only other, I continue to be disappointed with youth services. They gain momentum, especially, you know, with regard to after COVID, those programs going by the wayside. and they asked for funding, and they did this year, the county legislature did give them their 3%, but they continue to juggle money within the organization to make ends meet, and people are retiring. They hire some people, and then they get better jobs elsewhere, and they go away. But I think the real need is are so many youth that need support, and it's usually one-on-one. So if you're wandering around the community, walking, or doing anything, and you pay attention, a lot of one-on-one is happening, and program and transportation, and it's all the same. And it's hard for them to make the numbers work because the numbers aren't there. And they ask the county for money, but at least the 3% is there. And with the turnover in staff and the retirement of the higher salaried employees.
Next couple of years is going to be hard for them.
Yeah, and the past, 6 years since I've been doing this is hard.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is it's just media. Parents don't know what their children are doing necessarily. A lot of older, adolescents, young adults are failing to thrive, are homeless, and there's that. It's just, so my heart goes out to everybody. It's working hard at all levels, but anyway, we support them. The legislature supports them, so there we are.
I know Family and Children's.
They're closing.
Right. What's the status with the Learning Web?
It's up in the air.
Oh,
Don't know.
They've been in that situation for quite some time.
Yeah.
It's just-
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, Kathleen, are you ready?
yeah. Today was the day of the meetings. The core advisory group met, and again, it's goals for 2026, and that it is related to emergency preparedness, but with special attention to people with disabilities and just increased awareness, and being involved at the county level planning, as well as the long-term shelter planning. The spoil debris policy, there's a draft and it's not finalized yet. Water Resource Council did meet today. There was a presentation so that on PFOA, PFOS, and some of the targeted, you know them as the forever compounds, but there are a couple, those two were specifically, they have the most data. And so the person from the Army Corps of Engineer presented research on that. So it was pretty interesting. Let's see, Environmental Management Council, again, the county. It was to make appointments and elect. They had their election. And review of the strategic plan and continue the structure for the working groups for 2026. And let's see. And CLEO did not meet. They meet on Wednesday, so I have nothing to report on that. But I did send the agenda out, so everybody has the agenda if they're interested, as well as the recording to the meeting.
Anything else?
if anybody's interested, DEC has extended, they have 2 public hearings, and everything's on their website. One is with, let's see, January 9th deals with the biosolids. And let's see, the January 12th was an extension for the Keuger Operating Company. So they extended that to January 12th for anyone wishing to make a public comment.
Anything else, Kathleen? Okay, Pat?
Finished up the draft for the vehicle use policy and sent that to Natalie on Friday. So hopefully in a few weeks we can just be back. Other than that, I have no other updates.
Thanks, Pat. Carolyn?
It sounds like a little bit of work has to be done for the Commercial Area Advisory Committee to take Kathleen's suggestions about setting forth some structure for the meetings in general, and I'm happy to do that along with drafting the form for applications for everyone to review. So I'll take care of that. I workshopped with all of you and the planning board some language replacements for the term village feel in the comprehensive plan. I got some nice responses from Lisa, Pat, Lorraine, and some others. So I do think we're going to be able to come up with something that's more satisfactorily concrete, but gives us the direction that we want to go. And the comprehensive plan committee will meet on Wednesday. So we'll have something back for everybody to look at after that.
Carolyn, will you be sharing that with us before the
Absolutely.
12th? Okay.
100%. So, there's not been really any language changes at all. Ronnie had a couple of minor suggestions since the draft that was the main draft. The only thing is that I wanted it to look a little bit differently. So, been working on the appearance of it mostly.
Yeah, I was gonna say format really is important for, somewhat.
So
Yeah.
it looks different now, and language wise, I only made Ronnie had a few minor suggestions, and the one I couldn't handle was the village feel one. Not handle, couldn't. I didn't feel like I had.
It just was bothering you, right? Yeah.
Well,
No.
I knew what he was talking about, that it's amorphous, and we want to be as concrete as possible. But I have some good suggestions, so we're gonna solve that based on what everybody's feedback.
I think it sort of came up as like, I guess we kind of lost sight of it a little bit over the summer, and it might be helpful if we got a reminder with the latest version would be helpful, even though the latest version is not very different.
Yeah, it's not
Just-
very different. We're gonna work on
Okay.
the layout, and then we'll give it back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, and
That's
any,
all I have.
Thanks, Carol. Go ahead, Kathleen.
no, you've got the other information. So the Climate Smart Communities is the last Thursday of January. There's nothing in December because it's the holiday, 1 o'clock here. And if anybody has any, from the committees that you're liaise with, any fact checking or any updates that should be considered for the comp plan, that would be really good if you pick up anything.
For myself, I don't have anything beyond what we've already discussed tonight. I do want to wish everyone happy holidays and Merry Christmas and safe travels if you're traveling, and good times with your families and friends. So if there's nothing else, I will move that we adjourn.
Second?
Susan, second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Hi.
Okay, thank you all. Talk to you about.
Okay.